Good morning, Big Brother fans. It is Thursday, August 6th. It is live eviction day. It is also potentially endurance competition. We don't know. More on that in a second. Let's do a quickie. I recorded one already, and then I decided I forgot to talk about the endurance competition, so we're redoing it, and this one will be shorter and tighter. Sure it will, Mike, he says to himself. We have our three nominees. We have Drew, Lyric, and Melody. Yesterday, I believe I told you that I thought Drew and Devins might be flipping the house to save Drew, and they had kind of talked people into it. Well, Camu kind of started pushing back the other direction, and Dee and Devins and others kind of started to figure it out and started to scramble. Dee spent about an hour from her bed talking to various people. I posted a 9 or 10 segment video run in my Blue Sky account with the highlights of those conversations as she talked to Drew. Did she talk to Drew? Maybe, no, I don't know if she talked to Drew, but Barrett, Devins, Angela. She even talked to Yash, but I don't think I included that because that was where she realized that maybe people are looking to keep Drew now or get rid of Drew now again. So she's trying to do her work. She said she's not going up to the head HOH to talk. She's going to vote to keep Drew. And it seemed like she was digging her heels in and maybe would go back to work to save Drew. Not sure that's going to work. I just don't know. I really don't know right now. And that's where we're at. We don't know what's going to happen tonight. I mean, people would tell you what they think is going to happen, but it's not locked. And we do have today, but today is a very small time window with the HOH lockdown and all the things that they have to do to get ready for tonight's show. Dee and Devins had talked about working today on this situation. I just don't know if they will. And in some ways, Devins is still sketched out by Drew and how much he was willing to go, blow things up. I mean, Devins looks at Drew as a liability because Drew knows all the secrets. He knows that there's that the Red Corner was originally a fake alliance, and he shouldn't know about the Red Corner. And I think Devins is worried about that. Of course, if they vote Drew out, Drew could easily stand up and say, there's a Red Corner alliance and da-da-da. I don't think Devins would do it. I don't know. So, where are we at? Angela's sleeping in the HOH room because that's how tight she's gotten with Haley this week, right now. And we'll just have to see how the day unfolds. I can't tell you for sure who's going. I know that some people do want to break up the showman so that if Melody, you got Melody and Drew. If only one of them is on the block at the end of the night tonight, it's very possible that person will get voted out because they want to get rid of, and I say they as kind of just the general house wants to get rid of that connection, that showmance. However, if it's Drew versus Lyric, it's potential that they decide we're going to keep Drew as a part of the tool shed, and those people and some non-tool shed members will decide to keep Drew. Lyric has kind of messed up her game a little bit with all the gaming she's done and being a bit of a, out there with everybody kind of a thing. So it's just hard to say. We'll see what happens. I went really long talking about this in circles in my first podcast that I'm redoing. That I've deleted and now I'm redoing, and I don't want to subject you to that because there's just no answer. I don't care who tells you what it's going to be right now. At this moment in time, nobody knows. So just keep that in mind. I could see it going any which way. If more of it comes to light in the next 6 hours, I'll be sure to pop back on and let you know so you're not completely blindsided. But I'm going to be somewhat blindsided. I would say for Drew to stay for sure, and for any of them to stay for sure, they need to win the blockbuster. After that, it's kind of a crapshoot. And maybe it'll settle out today. And speaking of tonight, We think there's an endurance competition because they've been on lockdown since Monday. Do we think it's the wall? Angela said something that struck me. Not that I put a faith in everything Angela says, but in this case, she may be accurate, that she said they usually don't do the wall. I would have to look it up. So this is Angela's facts. Doesn't mean it's true. It would be not too hard to look up and figure out, but don't have the time to do it right now. Angela said they don't do the wall the same week that they do a have-not. They give the have-nots a break. So they only do the wall the week that there isn't a have-not. I don't know. I mean, that's certainly not been the case every season, because some seasons they do the have-nots every week. But in recent seasons, they have given the have-nots breaks and say, oh, there's no have-nots this week. Once they get down that there's enough beds in the rest of the house, they can skip weeks of have-nots. And they will be at that point, if they aren't already, with empty beds. Once they've kicked out, this will be evictee number 4? What is it? Ashley, Rome, Jason. I guess this is 4. So, yeah. So they'll have 4. I think they'll have enough beds, but I'm not going to try to do the math right now. That's what's up. We had, as I said, Dee was conducting her roundtables. Barrett did talk to Devins yesterday to find out that Drew was in theory safe. We'll see how long that lasted, though. And there was a bit of a bit where Devin said, did you tell Barrett? And Dee said, no. And then Dee said to Barrett, did you tell Devins I told you? And he said, no. But the way Barrett asked, it kind of was suspicious. Barrett kind of had to pry it out of Devins to the point where I think it made Devins suspicious, rightly so. But no, Barrett did not tell Devins that Dee all but told him that Drew, in theory, might be safe, that the target had changed. What else to tell you guys? Oh, they started putting ads on the live feeds. Now, maybe it's a test. Maybe it won't last. But it happened at least 3 times so far this morning. A brief, maybe 3 to 5 second pop-up ad, instead of the CBS warning about house guests saying things that might be offensive, it was literally a banner ad for the Paw Patrol movie that comes out a week from tomorrow. So, yeah, not encouraging if they're going to start throwing banner ads on the live feeds. But I'm not surprised either. We'll have to see if this is a new trend. All right. That's what I got for you guys. I'm going to keep it short, going to wrap her up, and I will talk to you all later today if something major happens. If not, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Again, likely endurance competition. We have no idea if it'll be shown on the live feeds. I'm going to say it won't be, because that means I'll be wrong, and that will be a good thing. But, yeah, we just don't know. There's been no consistency from production this year. They sometimes come back immediately after the live feeds or after the show. Sometimes they don't. And we don't know what it's going to be. In a perfect world, they do it old school. And the show would end with the house guests doing their endurance competition. And then the feeds would come back shortly after, like 10 or 15 minutes after the show ended, and we'd get to watch it all. But the best that we can get at lately has been the show will end, the feeds will come back to the house guests standing around talking for an hour or 3, and then they will go down for a few minutes, and then they will come back to the endurance competition going on the live feeds. But there's been other times where the show has ended and the feeds haven't come back until the endurance competition was over. So we've seen every permutation we could have, and I'm afraid of the latter, so I'm going to guess that's what it's going to be. So again, I'm not disappointed. And with that, folks, I am signing off, wishing you a happy Thursday, and we'll talk to you most likely tomorrow. Saying most likely because if something crazy happens this afternoon, and I think I know how the House is going to vote, I will pop back on before 8 p.m. Eastern Time and drop a quick little podcast. Thanks again. Thank you to my patrons especially. You are my favorite people. And if you want to be a patron, you can go to patreon.com, search for BB Gossip. You'll find my podcast link, and you can sign up and become a patron. I'd love you too. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.